What's it been like for you as somebody who's been around this game for so long? I mean, back if you made NIL when you played, you would have killed it.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Yeah,
but
would have been nice. As
you
a 19-year-old Olympian, it would have been really nice.
Well, didn't you lose a game for the Playboy?
Not Playboy.
No, it wasn't Play. It was the Playboy All-American thing, right?
No,
it was a calendar.
I turned down. Yeah, I turned down being a Playboy All-American. The next, which was an incident. The incident was doing a charitable calendar for handicapped girls to go to camp, and I lost. I didn't get to play at Kentucky because of that.
You get a game for that?
Now you make money for that.
That is unbelievable. Think about that. I was going to.
Now you turn it down because it's not enough money.
Correct. You got your agent negotiating. Yeah.
Think about like all the changes right now, and coaches. Let's face it. You know, off the record, a lot of you guys are like, man, this sucks. This is hard to deal with.
Right.
You know, it's good that players are getting paid, but our rosters are flipping over.
Right.
You know, with the portal, with now the extra COVID, there's just so much change.
Right.
How do you think college basketball and college sports are right now?
Yeah, it's hard, Jeff. I want to say great. I mean, because it is.
Say great, though.
But it's the only thing as a former student athlete and then getting into coaching at the collegiate level, I got out of the NBA and got into collegiate coaching and coach night. My dad helped me a lot. But, you know, that path was because it was amateur, because it was taking 18-year-olds and seeing them develop into young men at 22 and then sending them out and like, hey, whatever you do, whether it's play or get into business but they learned how to grind. They learned how to lose. I'm not sure this era is getting that opportunity because if you don't like it, you leave and you get to play right away. You're getting NIL. You're getting, which NIL, I don't know why it's name, image, and likeness. It's
pay for play.
It's pay for play. If you're really being honest, it's pay for play. And so the lessons have changed. And I do think you have to adapt. I'm 58 years old. I've been doing it 33 years. If you don't adapt, it's not going to happen. And so I'm all about the players making more money, you know, doing that kind of thing. But I don't want them to lose, hey, you're not playing for a reason. The bench is a motivator. You've got this guy's out playing you because he's out working you. It's not the lessons they're learning. And then I worry about the educational piece. You know, the Power Fives with all the league changes, flying East Coast, West Coast. You're talking about some teams are going to get home at 2, 3 in the morning, and you're going to tell your team, hey, you got to go to class at 8. Yeah, right. I mean, that's great. That's great verbiage. But, you know, so I just worry about those things in our game that I think we've lost a little bit of that.
You know, it's interesting. I think now with Coach Knight in the state that he's in and how it ended, you can throw out negativity about the things he did that you could never do today.
Correct.
But there's absolutely, with your dad and him, things that I'm sure you were taught at a young age or when you first showed up in Bloomington that you still teach today. What's one of them?
Well, you talk about Coach Knight. You know, you can YouTube him on the bench motivation deal. You can probably find that. I think it's absolutely hilarious, and it's correct. I was one of the best players on our team at Indiana, and in my mind, for no reason, he benched me at Illinois, and I didn't get a play. And I got Altenberger, I got Douglas, I got all these guys coming over going, when you getting in? When you getting in? I'm like, I'm not getting in. Coach told me that if he could sit Buckner, then he can sit Alford. And I'm going to sit here and watch this game. But that made me better. I didn't like it, but that bench is a motivator. And it's like, if he's telling me I'm not guarding, then I at least got to get in the stance and fake it if I'm not good at it. But I gotta do something because I'm motivated through, okay, I don't like this. Like I was red team at Indiana's the starters. White team is he used to flip me to the white team because I wasn't guarding anybody.
Oh, it's the worst.
And it's the worst.
But you play defense the whole practice.
It took me a long time to learn that, okay, instead of trying to light up the red team and say, he thinks you can guard, you can't guard. I had to learn that, no, you got to at least get in position and be a good defender and help the team in those ways. And I just don't know if players today are going to get coached that way. I'm so fortunate that I was coached by my dad and Coach Knight because they never let me get comfortable. They never let me come off a big game and say, hey, everything will be good going in the next game. They're like, no, it's going to get harder. It's going to get tougher. And that's the fine line I think some of these athletes are losing today, that it is tough. It's tough to – so I worry about when they're 25, 26. What then? You know, and I think our job in collegiate athletics is try to prepare them for all the tough moments they're going to get when they're 26, 27. And right now they're not experiencing a lot of tough things right now.
You guys are getting a brand new arena. right? And it's going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people you talk to that you go to coaches, you're like, I don't want a brand new arena. Give me that money. Give me some money so I can get you a new team, and then we get any arena we want. That's a real discussion that happens.
It is a real discussion with that. Fortunately, and we're getting ready. We'll move into our new Lannis locker room and lounge in our practice facility. It's going to be spectacular. We move into that next summer, and then in 2.5 years, we'll move into a brand new arena from Alex Moreau. And the nice thing about both of those projects is we're getting those nice facilities plus NIL.
Yes.
So if you can just get that plus factor,
then you're good.
that matters a lot. But, like back in the day, it was like 15, 20 years ago, what shoe do you wear?
Yeah.
Now it's not about what shoe you wear, and it's not about your facility. It's about what's your NIL.
Yeah.
So it's just a different era, and I'm not against the players making money. It's just it is a different thing you got to manage. You're almost like general managers now instead of coaches.
No, you got to deal with NIL. You're talking to people how to raise it all the time.
Right.
All right, give me your favorite spot in Bloomington now. I'm in Bloomington all the time, visiting my daughter. Give me like your favorite spot.
Well, that's hard, but Nick's has always been my favorite because of the Strombolis. It's still the best Stromboli in the country, in my opinion. So Nick's, but there's so many great areas. And my mom and dad live on Lamb Lake, which is only about 35 minutes from there.
You go back a bunch.
So I get back there. Coach obviously is there. So anytime I can get back for any kind of length of time, I go back. And I was able to see him a couple months ago with Pat and Karen.
What's your memory? Like, what's your favorite memory of Coach Knight?
Oh, that's hard. I think the memory I have the most, and it had before I even played with him, made a home visit to me because I committed so early. I went to his camps from 3rd grade to 12th grade. My dad coached at Martinsville and then Newcastle, so we were always around Bloomington, going to Indiana games. I called George McGinnis the other day. He went into the Indiana University Hall of Fame. I'm like, George, you're the one that got me to understand Indiana basketball and then Indiana Pacers. I didn't know about either of those things until Big Mac got there. And so it's things like that. But Coach made a home visit, and he sat in front of my brother, my mom and dad and I, and he said, look, you're going to play with great teammates. I'm going to recruit good people. You're going to have a chance to win championships. You're going to get your degree on time, and you're going to have a friend for life. And all 4 of those things, he checked those boxes. And that's hard to do, but those were 4 promises that he made that to this day, he's been able to check all those boxes. And I appreciate the most out of that.
I need to ask you a story about it because AJ Guyton, who hosted a podcast for us called The House of Hoosier, wanted us to ask you about the time that he kicked you off the bus. Did this happen?
Yeah, that was the calendar. So Dan Dockage is he's our grad assistant, and it was a bad day because the NCAA had to go in and meet with Coach Knight, the athletic director at the time, and they're trying to figure out the calendar thing. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? There was 12 sports at Indiana because there's 12 months on the calendar. I think I was February. I can't remember now. But I just took a picture in Assembly Hall because they said it was for charitable girls to be able to go, handicapped girls to be able to go to summer camp. I didn't think there was anything wrong. My mistake is I didn't check with compliance. And when you play for Coach Knight, you do nothing without checking with compliance. So I knew I made a mistake, but I was scared. I didn't know what to do. They said I was suspended for the Kentucky game, and it's about a 20-minute bus ride. And I went to Dan. I go, Dan, do I get on the bus or am I supposed to stay here? And Dan says, I don't know, but I think I'd be on the bus. I'm like, okay. So Coach is a little bit superstitious. When you get off the bus, he likes to hit you on the back. Hit you on the back. And it's cold, so I got a trench coat on, and I'm like next to last to get off, and he hits me on the back, and then he sees who it is, and he grabs the trench coat. I'm about $160, and he pulls me back on the bus, and he goes, what are you doing? And so I found out I'm not supposed to go on the trip. So I start walking, and it's a cloudy day. I start walking back this old country road outside of Bloomington, and I see the plane and my teammates ascend into the clouds. And our bus driver pulls up after it ascends into the clouds. Our bus driver, and he just opens the door and he goes, do you need a ride? I'd really like a ride back to town.
When you played Newcastle, you played in Chrysler Arena, which at the time I think was the biggest high school arena in the country.
Yep. We've redone it to make sure it still is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you played at Assembly Hall, which also been redone, but a gigantic place.
Yeah.
When you were at SMS, that was an unbelievable environment back then when they played in the old place,
Mm-hmm.
and then at Iowa, and then at New Mexico, and then at UCLA, and now at Nevada. You say there's one place I'd like to play one basketball game, and you've coached in them or played in them all. What is it?
That's a good one. That's a good, because all those have been special places, because just great fans, and we had the pit rocking. You get in Pauley Pavilion when that thing's rocking. It's you got entertainers and movie stars. It's a whole different kind of vibe. But Carver Hawkeye was special. John Q. Hammonds at Missouri State. Even the Perk in Manchester.
Yeah.
We got that thing rocking in my first job. And Assembly Hall, I'll never forget. Those road environments, I'll never forget being in. But I guess at 58, I'd like to go back to the field house in Newcastle when I'm 16, just doing my individual workouts in there.
And you'd hang the net. Do you guys know the story?
No.
So
I wanted the janitor to know I was in there before him. That was the reason why I did that.
So then they don't hang mostly anymore.
Yeah,
but you swish them and they get hung. He wouldn't leave the gym. Most people don't leave the gym without making a shot or making 10 in a row.
Yeah.
He wouldn't leave the gym without hanging the net.
Well, and as you know, and I'm a coach's kid, the people you respect the most are the custodians, the janitor. They clean the floor, they get the balls out, they get the lights on, they do all those things. So I had a really good relationship with Herb, but I wanted Herb to know I was in here before you. The net is proof that I beat you to high school work day.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Well, Steve, we appreciate you coming by. Great seeing you.
Appreciate it.
And success. Hopefully you guys have a
Well, it was a field
another
of
good
68.
season.
I think we were 68 last year, so hopefully we move up.
There you go. Right, you got to get out of that first four.
That's right. Thank you.